Welcome to Headphone News, International Edition for Friday, December 6, 2024.
Nippon Steel's acquisition of U.S. Steel. Nippon Steel, a leading steel producer from Japan, is set to purchase U.S. Steel for $15 billion. This deal aims to increase Nippon Steel's steel production from 65 million metric tons to 85 million metric tons each year, with a long-term goal of exceeding 100 million metric tons. However, this purchase has faced strong opposition from U.S. politicians, including President-elect Donald Trump, who have expressed concerns about national security and foreign ownership of American companies. Takahiro Mori, the vice chairman of Nippon Steel, has made 8 trips to the United States to discuss the deal and gauge local support. The deal is expected to be finalized by December 2024. Pending approval from the Committee on Foreign Investment in the United States, known as CFIUS, and the U.S. Department of Justice. This acquisition could significantly impact jobs and steel prices in the U.S. and may influence future foreign investments. The outcome will be closely monitored, reflecting the ongoing relationship between foreign corporations and U.S. economic interests.
Colombia's finance minister resigns amid scandal. Colombian President Gustavo Petro has announced that Finance Minister Ricardo Bonilla has stepped down due to a corruption scandal. This scandal involves claims of mismanagement of disaster relief money by the National Disaster Risk Management Unit, known as UNGRD. Reports indicate that 46.8 billion Colombian pesos, which is about 10.5 million United States dollars, were misallocated. Diego Guevara, the current finance vice minister, will take over as finance minister. This marks the second finance minister to leave Petro's government since he took office in August 2022. The situation raises concerns about governance and public trust in Colombia as investigations into the alleged misconduct continue. The fallout from this scandal could impact economic policies and the overall stability of the government.
Exicom's plans for electric vehicle chargers in India. Exicom Telesystems, based in Hyderabad, India, has set ambitious goals for its electric vehicle charger business. The company aims to generate half of its income from this sector by 2030. In the last fiscal year, Exicom reported earnings of 2.43 billion Indian rupees, which is about 28.7 million United States dollars. To encourage local electric vehicle manufacturing, the Indian government has introduced benefits and reduced import taxes. This has led to significant growth in the electric vehicle market, expanding by 30 to 50% each year. To meet this rising demand, Exicom plans to increase production at its new facility in Hyderabad and explore markets in Southeast Asia, Europe, and the United States. Recently, Exicom purchased Tritium, an Australian manufacturer of electric vehicle chargers, enhancing its skills in the EV market. This strategic move positions Exicom to address the growing need for electric vehicle infrastructure, benefiting both consumers and investors as the world shifts toward clean energy.
Germany's role in Ukraine peace efforts. Germany is currently exploring its potential role in a peace agreement for Ukraine as the conflict continues. German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock has stressed the importance of safety assurances for Ukraine, which could include NATO membership and an international presence to help maintain peace. Germany's support might involve providing defense assistance, humanitarian aid, and diplomatic backing to Ukraine. This discussion is particularly crucial given the significant challenges Ukraine has faced since Russia's takeover of Crimea in 2014 and the invasion in 2022. The impact of Germany's support could significantly shape international relations, security policies in Europe, and the overall stability of Ukraine. Understanding these dynamics is essential for grasping the complexities of the ongoing conflict and the future of security in Europe.
U.S. military's data challenges with phone companies. The U.S. military is struggling to get data on weaknesses in the American telecommunications system, as phone companies are denying requests based on attorney-client privilege. Senators Ron Wyden and Eric Schmidt are unhappy with this response and emphasize the need for accountability in cybersecurity. The Pentagon, located in Arlington, Virginia, is a major buyer of mobile services, depending on companies like AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile for communication. Recent threats from foreign hackers have raised serious concerns about the security of confidential information. This situation highlights the ongoing conflict between corporate privacy and national security, which could lead to significant changes in telecommunications policies. Improved cybersecurity measures are essential to protect consumers and safeguard national interests.
South Korea activates Market Stabilization Fund. The South Korean government has launched a market stabilization fund totaling 40 trillion Korean won, which is about 28.35 billion United States dollars. This action follows President Yoon Suk-yeol's decision to lift martial law and aims to tackle financial disturbances that arose during that period. The Bank of Korea, the nation's central bank, may buy government bonds and expand buyback operations to enhance market stability. Currently, one United States dollar is worth 1,411 Korean won. This intervention highlights the government's commitment to restoring investor trust and stabilizing the economy, which is crucial for attracting foreign investment and improving the overall economic landscape in South Korea.
Anduril and OpenAI join forces for national security. Anduril Industries, a defense technology company from the U.S., has partnered with OpenAI, a leader in artificial intelligence. This exciting collaboration aims to develop advanced AI strategies for national security, specifically focusing on systems that counter drones, known as CUAS. The announcement came on December 4, 2024, amid growing concerns about drone warfare and aerial threats. The partnership seeks to enhance the U.S. military's ability to identify and respond to potential drone strikes. Founded in 2017, Anduril specializes in technologies that operate independently, while OpenAI will leverage its AI expertise to train models using Anduril's data on drone threats. This collaboration reflects a broader trend of integrating AI into military applications, raising important ethical questions about the use of autonomous systems in warfare. The implications of this partnership could significantly influence national security strategies and the future of military technology.
European hedge funds see gains after U.S. election. European hedge funds saw gains in November 2024, driven by favorable conditions in international stock and currency markets. This positive trend followed Donald Trump's election victory, which caused significant shifts in the market. Mitsui Capital Management, based in Paris, reported a growth of about 5% for its Mitsui Epsilon Diversified Fund, bringing its yearly performance to 13.4%. The British hedge fund Marshall Wace achieved nearly 3% in profits with its Eureka Fund, resulting in a current year return of 14.5%. Winton Capital, another hedge fund, recorded a modest gain of 0.3% in its multi-strategy fund, contributing to an overall performance of 8.8% for the year. Overall, global hedge fund performance for November reached 1.4%, following 2 months of stagnant returns. These results highlight how U.S. political events can influence international markets, impacting investment plans and returns for hedge funds. Investors should keep these dynamics in mind when assessing market conditions.
Taiwanese battery plant project halted in British Columbia. A planned lithium-ion battery production plant in Maple Ridge, British Columbia, has been put on hold after a $1 billion investment. Taiwan Cement Corporation decided to refocus its efforts on production in Taiwan. The Canadian government had previously committed $284.5 million in funding, with $204.5 million from the federal government and $80 million from the provincial government. This project was expected to create 350 new jobs while maintaining 100 existing positions. The pause reflects a larger trend among battery manufacturers in North America, who are suspending similar projects due to changing market conditions. Taiwan, an island nation in East Asia, plays a vital role in the global supply chain for technology and batteries. This decision may impact local job creation and the growth of the electric vehicle market in Canada, highlighting the difficulties in attracting foreign investment in the competitive landscape of green technology.
South Korea's economic challenges amid political crisis. South Korea is currently facing serious economic challenges after President Yoon Suk-yeol declared martial law. This move has shaken up financial markets, causing a 0.9% drop in the Kospi index, the country's main stock index. The political crisis is raising worries about stability as the National Assembly prepares to vote on Yoon's impeachment, with the opposition holding 192 out of 300 seats. Recent economic data shows a GDP growth rate of just 0.1% for the July to September period, following a 0.2% decline in the previous quarter. Last year's growth rate of 1.4% was the lowest since the 2008 global financial crisis. The martial law declaration has created uncertainty, which could scare off foreign investment and hurt consumer confidence. This situation highlights the vulnerability of South Korea's political landscape, which has faced similar crises before. It's crucial for investors and policymakers to understand these developments as they navigate the ongoing implications of this crisis.
Surge in foreign investment in Indian bonds. Foreign investors are ramping up their purchases of Indian government bonds, reaching a total of $1 billion United States dollars, which is about 84.73 billion Indian rupees. This increase is fueled by expectations that the Reserve Bank of India, known as RBI, will ease monetary policy following disappointing economic growth data. Recent GDP figures showed growth that was weaker than anticipated, raising concerns about the Indian economy. As a result, foreign investors have shifted from selling to buying bonds, signaling renewed confidence in the market. Currently, the cash reserve ratio, or CRR, is at 4.5%, and market participants are hoping for a potential cut of 50 basis points to boost economic activity. This trend of rising foreign investment reflects a growing interest in emerging markets, particularly as India's bond yields have dropped to three-year lows, making them appealing to investors. While this influx of foreign investment can enhance economic stability, it also makes the economy more vulnerable to fluctuations in global markets.
Mitsui and TotalEnergies collaborate on Mozambique LNG project. Mitsui and Company, a Japanese trading company, is joining forces with TotalEnergies, a French oil and gas company, along with the Mozambique government to restart construction on the Mozambique liquefied natural gas project. Valued at $20 billion, this project has faced delays due to unrest in the Cabo Delgado province. However, recent updates show that safety conditions are improving, allowing construction to move forward. TotalEnergies has secured between $9.8 billion and $11.2 billion from investors for this initiative. The LNG project is vital for Mozambique's economy, as it has the potential to create jobs and enhance infrastructure. Additionally, LNG acts as a bridge to renewable energy, helping to reduce carbon emissions. The collaboration aims to ensure safety and advance the project, emphasizing the importance of stable conditions to attract foreign investment.
USC's advisory for international students. The University of Southern California, or USC, is urging its international students to return to the United States before President-elect Donald Trump takes office for his second term on January 20, 2025. This advisory comes as there are uncertainties about possible changes to immigration policies that could affect student visas. USC has about 17,000 international students, with nearly 6,000 from China. The winter break runs from December 19, 2024, to January 12, 2025, and students are encouraged to return by January 13 to avoid any re-entry issues. Past policies during the Trump administration in 2017 caused major disruptions for international students, raising concerns about future restrictions. To help students, legal support is available through the USC Gould Law School Immigration Clinic. Stricter immigration policies could impact university enrollment and the diversity of the student body, which may also affect the financial stability of schools that depend on international tuition. It's important for students and educational stakeholders to understand these developments.
Israeli strikes in Gaza result in civilian casualties. Israeli forces have killed at least 39 Palestinians, including women and children, in military strikes on the Gaza Strip. This attack took place on December 5, 2024, as part of a larger operation that began after Hamas attacked Israel on October 7, 2023, leading to 1,200 deaths and over 250 hostages taken. The ongoing conflict has created serious problems for the people in Gaza, where about 2.3 million live. Reports indicate that more than 44,000 Gazans have lost their lives since the fighting started. Many residents feel hopeless due to the violence and a lack of international support. Recently, Amnesty International labeled Israel's actions as genocide, sparking intense debate. The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is worsening, with severe shortages of food, water, and medical supplies. This situation raises concerns about the long-term security of the region and the risk of further violence.
Mexico's response to U.S. deportations. On December 5, 2024, Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum announced that Mexico is seeking a deal with the new U.S. administration led by President-elect Donald Trump. The goal is to avoid accepting deported individuals from other countries during possible large deportations. Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, has pledged to deport 1 million people each year. This situation highlights Mexico's important role in U.S. immigration policy, as it has previously accepted migrants from countries like Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. The relationship between the U.S. and these nations complicates direct deportations. The proposed agreement aims to prioritize the return of Mexican citizens while also showing support for other countries. Understanding this context is essential, as it reflects broader immigration challenges and could significantly impact U.S.-Mexico relations.
Cuba's electrical crisis. Cuba has recently restored its national electrical grid after a major failure that left millions without power. Currently, the country generates 1,450 megawatts of electricity, which is less than half of the usual demand of 3,200 megawatts. This energy crisis stems from years of neglect in infrastructure, fuel shortages from declining imports, and the long-standing U.S. trade embargo. As a result, many residents are experiencing scheduled outages that disrupt their daily lives. This situation has sparked protests and led to a mass departure of Cubans since 2020. The National Electric Union, or RUN, oversees the electricity sector in Cuba, but it struggles to maintain and upgrade its aging facilities. The impact on daily life is severe, with shortages of food, medicine, and water making things even tougher for people on the island. These challenges highlight the urgent need for solutions to improve energy generation and address the broader economic crisis in Cuba.
Rebel forces capture Hama in Syria. Rebel forces, led by Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, have taken control of the city of Hama in Syria. This marks an important shift in the ongoing civil war. The capture follows a series of successful attacks by various rebel groups, including the recent takeover of Aleppo. Hama is a vital logistical hub located between Aleppo and Damascus, and it had never been under rebel control until now. The Syrian government, under President Bashar al-Assad, is facing increasing difficulties as its troops withdraw from the city. The civil war in Syria has lasted for 14 years, leading to widespread humanitarian emergencies and growing geopolitical tensions. The fall of Hama could encourage other rebel factions and further disrupt the region. This event has consequences that extend beyond Syria, potentially affecting international relations and regional security. The situation remains fluid, with ongoing military actions and serious humanitarian concerns for civilians caught in the conflict.
European stocks rise amid French political uncertainty. European stocks showed strong performance on December 5, 2024, climbing to near one-month highs despite ongoing political uncertainty in France. The Pan-European Stoxx 600 index saw a slight increase, while France's CAC 40 index also rose modestly. This positive market reaction followed the vote to remove Prime Minister Michel Barnier's government, raising concerns about political stability and its potential impact on the economy. Investors remained largely undeterred, as major French banks like BNP Paribas, Société Générale, and Crédit Agricole experienced share increases between 2 and 3%. The risk differential for holding French debt compared to German bonds dropped from its highest levels in over 12 years, signaling a shift in investor sentiment. President Emmanuel Macron is expected to address the nation at 1900 GMT, possibly announcing a new prime minister. The political situation in France could influence economic policies and investor confidence, highlighting the importance of stable governance for market performance. While the French economy faces challenges, the stock market's reaction suggests a sense of optimism among investors.
Xi Jinping highlights anti-corruption efforts in the military. On December 5, 2024, President Xi Jinping of China stressed the urgent need to fight corruption within the military during a speech in Beijing. This address came after a major anti-corruption campaign that led to the removal of at least 9 generals from the People's Liberation Army, known as the PLA. Xi emphasized the importance of strict discipline to maintain loyalty and reliability in the armed forces. The speech also announced the creation of a new information warfare unit aimed at updating military capabilities. This restructuring is part of ongoing efforts to strengthen China's defense forces, which have been undergoing reforms since 2015. These measures have significant implications, as they aim to enhance internal loyalty and operational effectiveness within the military. Increased modernization could also change geopolitical relationships in the Asia-Pacific region, affecting interactions with neighboring countries and global powers.
Putin cancels payment requirement for gas exports. Russian President Vladimir Putin has cancelled the requirement for buyers of Russian gas to make payments through Gazprombank, a state-controlled bank. This decision comes after recent penalties imposed by the United States, which targeted Gazprombank and restricted its ability to handle energy transactions. In 2023, Russia exported around 15 billion cubic meters of gas through Ukraine, which is only 8% of the peak gas flows to Europe seen in 2018 and 2019. The new decree raises concerns about how gas exports will be paid for in the future. Companies have until December 20, 2024, to end their transactions with Gazprombank. These penalties and changes in payment methods could disrupt gas supplies to Europe and may lead to higher energy prices worldwide. Currently, the Russian ruble exchanges at about 93 rubles for every US dollar, with 10,000 rubles converting to roughly 107.50 US dollars. This situation highlights ongoing tensions around energy trade and the need for European countries to seek alternative energy sources.
Impact of proposed U.S. tariffs on UK inflation. On December 5, 2024, Megan Green, a policymaker at the Bank of England, spoke about the uncertainty surrounding the proposed tariffs from U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Trump has suggested imposing blanket tariffs between 10% and 20% on imports, which could have a major impact on inflation in the United Kingdom. Green pointed out the difficulties in predicting how these tariffs might affect inflation, especially in the UK and the Eurozone. Currently, British consumer price inflation is at 2.3%, with expectations that it could rise to around 3% next year. To tackle economic challenges, the Bank of England recently reduced interest rates from 5% to 4.75%. Wage growth in the UK is at 4.8%, adding to ongoing inflation pressures. If tariffs increase, it could lead to higher costs for consumers, affecting their purchasing power and overall economic stability. Understanding these developments is crucial, as they may influence how consumers behave and how businesses strategize in the UK.
Supreme Court reviews Tennessee transgender rights case. The U.S. Supreme Court is currently examining an important case regarding Tennessee's ban on medical care that supports transgender minors. Justice Sonia Sotomayor pointed out the court's responsibility to protect minority rights, mentioning that transgender individuals make up about 1% of the population. With a conservative majority of 6 justices to 3, it seems likely that the Supreme Court will uphold this ban, which has faced challenges from President Joe Biden's administration and other groups. This ruling could set a standard for similar laws across the United States, particularly in Republican-led states. The implications of this case extend beyond Tennessee, potentially affecting the rights of transgender individuals nationwide. Public attitudes toward transgender rights are changing, and this case brings attention to ongoing debates about discrimination and equal treatment under the law. The outcome may also influence future laws and corporate policies related to LGBTQ+ rights.
Canada's new Arctic foreign policy. Canada is preparing to announce a new Arctic foreign policy designed to boost security and diplomatic efforts in response to rising threats from foreign nations, especially Russia and China. Foreign Minister Melanie Joly and Defense Minister Bill Blair will make the announcement. The Arctic region is facing significant climate change, making it a critical area for geopolitical tensions due to melting ice and new shipping routes. Canada aims to meet NATO's defense spending goal of 2% of gross domestic product by 2032, a timeline that has received some criticism. The government is committing nearly 40 billion Canadian dollars, which is about $29.5 billion, for NORAD modernization and further investments in Arctic security. This policy highlights Canada's duty to protect its Arctic sovereignty and strengthen collaboration with Arctic states. The potential outcomes of this policy include military escalations, economic opportunities from resource exploration, and the need for international cooperation to address the impacts of climate change in the region.
Mali issues arrest warrant for Barrick Gold CEO. Mali, a country in West Africa famous for its gold production, has issued an arrest warrant for Mark Bristow, the CEO of Barrick Gold. This warrant is linked to a tax dispute involving around $500 million owed in taxes, as the Malian government aims to increase income from the mining industry. In September 2024, 4 Barrick Gold employees were detained over similar tax issues. The warrant, dated December 4, 2024, raises conflicts between the Malian government and foreign mining firms. Barrick Gold is a major player in the global gold market and has struggled to comply with local regulations. This situation highlights larger problems in Mali related to foreign investment and resource management. With rising gold prices, the government wants to enforce adherence to strengthen its economy. The arrest warrant could deter future investments in Mali's mining sector, affecting both local and international investors.
Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy discuss federal spending cuts. Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy recently met with congressional Republicans in Washington, D.C. They talked about possible federal spending cuts, focusing on how to reduce the U.S. federal budget, which is currently $6.1 trillion for the fiscal year 2023. Both Musk and Ramaswamy were appointed by President-elect Donald Trump to provide suggestions for budget reforms. During their conversation, they discussed a $6.6 billion loan to Rivian Automotive, an electric vehicle manufacturer. This raises concerns about potential conflicts of interest for Musk, who also leads Tesla, a competing company. Additionally, Musk's Political Action Committee, America PAC, has spent over $152 million to support Trump and other Republicans. The Republican majority in the House of Representatives holds a narrow lead at 220 to 215, making it challenging to reach an agreement on budget cuts. Proposed reductions could impact essential social programs like Social Security and Medicare, raising worries about their future. The outcomes of these discussions may significantly influence federal spending priorities, affecting citizens and various government programs.
Syrian insurgents capture Hama. Syrian insurgents have taken control of the central city of Hama after intense fighting with government forces. This is a major setback for President Bashar Assad, following a week-long offensive that has allowed the insurgents to gain ground in Syria. Hama is just a short drive south of Homs and a few hours north of Damascus, the capital. The insurgents, led by Abu Muhammad al-Golani of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, claim they are working to liberate the city. Their capture of Hama came after 3 days of fierce battles, resulting in deaths among government troops. Hama is historically significant due to the tragic 1982 massacre, where thousands lost their lives during an uprising against Assad's regime. The ongoing conflict has forced tens of thousands of people to leave their homes and has drawn in foreign powers like Russia and Iran, which support Assad, while Turkey backs some insurgent groups. This capture could lead to more instability in the region, worsening humanitarian emergencies, and a possible shift in power within Syria. The situation is still evolving as the insurgents prepare to advance toward Homs, the country's third-largest city.
Indigenous leaders call for action on funding issues. Indigenous police chiefs and First Nations leaders in Canada are calling on the federal government to address critical funding issues. They allege that the government is delaying an important human rights hearing scheduled for January 6, 2024, which will examine complaints about ongoing funding shortages for Indigenous policing. The Assembly of First Nations, a key organization representing Indigenous interests, is actively involved in this matter. Lawyer Julian Falconer highlights how insufficient funding impacts emergency response times, leading to delays that can stretch for hours. Kai Louie, the executive director of the Indigenous Police Chiefs of Ontario, stresses the urgent need for government action. The Treaty 3 territory in northwestern Ontario is particularly affected by these funding challenges. Recently, the federal ministry responsible for Indigenous policing requested to postpone the hearing, raising concerns among community leaders. The outcome of this tribunal could result in increased funding and policy changes, significantly impacting community safety and Indigenous rights in Canada. Understanding these issues is vital to recognizing the ongoing struggles faced by Indigenous communities.
Keir Starmer's ambitious plans for the Labour government. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom, recently delivered an important speech at Pinewood Studios in Buckinghamshire on December 5, 2024. He outlined 6 key promises aimed at holding the government accountable to voters. These goals include building 1.5 million homes in England, hiring 13,000 more police officers, and ensuring that nearly all National Health Service patients wait no longer than 18 weeks for planned treatment. Starmer also plans to increase the percentage of children ready to learn by age 5 to 75% and to achieve at least 95% clean power by 2030. These ambitious targets are set to be met by 2029. However, critics from the Conservative Party and Reform UK have raised concerns about the lack of specific measures on immigration and the commitment to green energy. The implications of these promises could significantly affect housing markets, public safety, and environmental policies in the UK. Achieving these goals will require substantial funding and public support, impacting taxpayers and local communities. The focus on living standards and clean energy resonates with voters who are concerned about climate change and social equity.
Boeing's plea deal rejected by judge. A judge in Fort Worth, Texas, has turned down Boeing's plea deal related to the 737 MAX crashes that led to the deaths of 346 people in Indonesia and Ethiopia between 2018 and 2019. The judge criticized a part of the deal concerning diversity and inclusion, stating it wasn't in the public's best interest. Boeing had agreed to pay a penalty of up to $487.2 million and invest $455 million to improve safety practices over the next 3 years. Families of the victims are seeking nearly $25 billion in compensation. This ruling opens the door for the possibility of changing the plea deal, which could result in tougher penalties for Boeing and better safety measures in the aviation industry. This decision highlights ongoing concerns about corporate responsibility and the need for strong aviation safety regulations.
Political turmoil in France and Germany. France is experiencing significant political chaos after Prime Minister Michel Barnier's government was ousted in a no-confidence vote. This situation highlights the ongoing instability in the French National Assembly, which is divided among various parties. President Emmanuel Macron, who appointed Barnier in September 2024, is facing mounting pressure as calls for his resignation grow. Germany is in a similar predicament, with Chancellor Olaf Scholz's coalition government expected to dissolve by February 2025, leading to new elections by June 2025. Both countries are dealing with economic difficulties, as Goldman Sachs forecasts a decline in economic activity in 2025. Currently, France's debt is 6.1% of its total economic output, which is double the limit set by European Union rules. The instability in France and Germany, the two largest economies in the Eurozone, could hinder important EU decision-making, especially with Donald Trump returning as U.S. president. The potential for rising trade tensions and disputes over defense spending may complicate matters further. These political and economic uncertainties in these key European nations could lead to increased social unrest and significantly affect the lives of citizens across the region. That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.